After 16 years of marriage, I discovered my wife's affair with my business partner. She left me and our daughter, but now she's back, demanding custody and more. My ex-wife, Kathy 30th, and I 30th had been together for 19 years, married for 16. We also had a 14-year-old daughter together. Almost 6 months ago, Kathy left everything behind to be with my former business partner. Leon, the guy I used to run the business with, was my co-worker earlier, and we had become very good friends, which is why we decided to quit our jobs and start a company together. We had been working together for 5 years, and it turns out he had been having an affair with my wife for 3 of those years. I found out about the affair 6 months ago from some texts on my wife's phone. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. In fact, she admitted everything, telling me she was tired of hiding things and just wanted to leave. I was devastated, as I had no idea she was unhappy in our marriage. I even told her we could still make it work, but she shut that down, telling me the only reason she married me in the first place was because she got pregnant. She said she tried to love me for 16 years but couldn't, and now had found someone she truly loved. She made it clear that I had to accept it and move on. I was heartbroken, especially for our daughter, but Kathy didn't think twice before leaving. She filed for divorce soon after, and the process was relatively simple. She didn't demand any settlement or alimony, and the division of assets was fair. Within a couple of months, we finalized the divorce. After we filed, I confronted Leon. He apologized, saying he had wanted to tell me about the affair but didn't know how. A couple of weeks later, he resigned and told me that he and Kathy were moving to Boston for her new job. Leon mentioned his cousin lived there and that he would work with him. After that, I never heard from them again. Things were tough for my daughter and me, but we were managing. I still had my business to keep me busy and provide for her. But about a week ago, Kathy showed up out of nowhere, and now I'm confused about whether my daughter and I did the right thing. 1 week ago, around 11 p.m., someone started ringing our doorbell frantically. My daughter was already in bed, and I was finishing up some work. We both rushed to the door and through the window. We saw it was Kathy. My daughter asked me not to open the door, as she was still upset with her mother. Kathy had made no effort to stay in touch with her, and my daughter was also hurt by her mother's betrayal. But I figured if Kathy had shown up so late, it must be serious, so I let her in. Instead of coming in, Kathy started yelling at me from the doorstep. She said she was going to file a lawsuit against me, take me to court, and get what she was owed because she couldn't believe I had punished her so cruelly. I had no idea what she was talking about and asked her to explain. She angrily accused me of hiding the real nature of Leon from her and said I was responsible for the abuse she had endured after they moved to Boston. She showed me a band-aid on her arm, explaining that Leon had been verbally abusing her for weeks. Their relationship had soured after moving, with Leon blaming her for him leaving the business and forcing him into a job with his cousin. The night before she came to my doorstep, she left their home and took a flight back to confront me, blaming me for not warning her about Leon's abusive behavior. I was shocked. Leon had never shown this side to me in the years we worked together. Kathy accused me of deliberately keeping this from her to punish her for the affair. Her reasoning made no sense, and I felt annoyed by her expectations. I tried to explain that I had no idea Leon was abusive and was sorry she was going through this, but it wasn't my fault. She kept arguing, insisting I knew, and threatened to fight for everything she didn't take during the divorce. My daughter, who had been standing by the door the entire time, finally spoke up. She told her mother to go away. Kathy was surprised, as was I. Kathy told her to stay out of it, but my daughter stood her ground, telling her mother she had no right to speak to me that way after everything she put us through. She reminded Kathy how she hadn't even tried to stay in touch with her own daughter and called her out for being selfish and heartless. At that moment I realized how much my daughter had grown up because of the divorce. She told Kathy she had failed as a wife and mother and wasn't part of our family anymore. After saying that, my daughter slammed the door in Kathy's face and went back to her room. I could hear Kathy crying outside, but I didn't check on her. Instead, I went to bed. 3 days ago, Kathy returned, this time with a lawyer demanding full custody of our daughter. Luckily, my daughter was out with friends, so she didn't hear about it. Kathy said she had decided not to fight for custody during the divorce to avoid disrupting our lives, but now she wanted our daughter back, accusing me of ruining her relationship with her. She claimed I was teaching our daughter to disrespect her, pointing out how rude our daughter was the last time they met. I told her that I had nothing to do with our daughter's feelings and shut the door. But now I'm starting to second-guess myself. Am I the asshole for not reprimanding my daughter when she was rude to her mother? Update 1. I've decided I have nothing to apologize for. My daughter did the right thing by standing up for me. After reading the comments, I realized how ridiculous it was for me to feel sorry for Kathy. She cheated on me and I owe her nothing. Many people suggested I prepare my daughter in case this custody battle goes to court. So I sat her down and told her everything. She's already proven mature enough to handle these situations, and it's only fair to keep her informed. Our daughter made it clear she doesn't want to live with Kathy right now, though she's open to the possibility of reconnecting in the future. Kathy's actions after the affair broke up our family, and I can't blame my daughter for feeling this way. I've spoken to my lawyer, and we're ready to handle this. Update 2. Kathy has officially filed for full custody. We are meeting with a court-appointed mediator tomorrow. In an unexpected twist, Leon called me today. He asked me to send Kathy back to him, saying he had been trying to reach her for days. I had no idea where Kathy was staying, but told him she was in town fighting for custody. While I didn't do this to help Leon, I hoped he might convince her to go back to Boston with him, possibly even signing away her rights to our daughter. It's a long shot, but my lawyer agrees it's worth a try. We'll see how it plays out. Update 3. The mediation session with Kathy did not go well. She left after just 30 minutes. Later that day, Leon showed up at my house looking like a wreck. He said Kathy had left him after their last fight, and he had no idea where she was. I told him I couldn't help him and gave him her parents' contact info, hoping he would leave me alone. It's exhausting dealing with these two. They destroyed my life. Update 4. It's been weeks since the last time I sat down to write, and honestly, I don't even know where to begin. If I thought things were messy before, I clearly had no idea what was coming. Kathy, as expected, didn't take the failed mediation well. But instead of backing off and letting things cool down, she decided to escalate dramatically. And somehow Leon's right in the middle of it all. A few days after that disastrous mediation session, I was hit with another set of legal documents. It felt like déjà vu, but this time it wasn't just about visitation or some minor adjustment. No, Kathy's going for full custody of our daughter. You read that right. Full custody. And her reasoning. Apparently, I'm the villain in this story now. According to Kathy's claims, I've been poisoning our daughter against her, manipulating her into wanting nothing to do with her own mother. The accusations are absurd, but she's got her lawyer spinning this story, that I'm emotionally abusive, that I've created a toxic environment. Kathy's entire argument is that I've damaged their relationship so badly that the only way to fix it is for her to take our daughter away from me, away from everything she knows. Kathy wants her to live with her in Boston, and she's painting it as the only way to heal. I've spent hours with my own lawyer going over these claims, trying to figure out how to fight back without dragging our daughter through the mud. She doesn't deserve to be stuck in the middle of this, but Kathy's making that impossible. The idea of our daughter being ripped from her home and sent off to live in a city she's barely familiar with just to satisfy Kathy's need to control everything. It's gut-wrenching. And Leon, well, I wish I could say he's been a steady rock through all this, but it's more complicated than that. He's always been neutral, trying to mediate between us, but now I'm starting to think he's been playing both sides. The other day he called me asking if we could talk things over with Kathy again, as if we hadn't already tried that and failed miserably. He was vague, but there was something in his voice that made me wonder if he's starting to buy into Kathy's narrative. Maybe he thinks I've been too harsh, or that I should just let things go for the sake of peace. But this isn't something I can just let go. Kathy's relentless. She's not just fighting for more time with our daughter, she's fighting to erase me from her life altogether. And Leon, whether he realizes it or not, is becoming a pawn in her game. Every time he reaches out, I can't help but wonder if he's genuinely trying to help. At this point, everything feels like it's spiraling out of control. I'm doing everything I can to protect our daughter from this madness, but it's like Kathy won't stop until she gets what she wants. Final update. It's strange how things work out in ways you never expect. After months of court dates, lawyers, and what felt like endless fighting, I can finally say that it's over. But the journey to get here has been nothing short of exhausting. The court battle for custody reached its climax a few weeks ago. Kathy and I stood in front of the judge, each of us pleading our cases with the same intensity that had driven us all this time. I had my proof of being a stable, supportive parent, but Kathy wasn't letting up. She maintained her story, painting me as manipulative and emotionally abusive, accusing me of driving a wedge between her and our daughter. However, the judge wasn't blind to the situation. Our daughter, despite her young age, was eventually asked to share her feelings. It was the hardest moment of all, seeing her walk into that courtroom knowing she had to speak about something she shouldn't have been involved in the first place. But when she spoke, it became clear to everyone that this battle wasn't really about her well-being. It was about Kathy's need for control. Our daughter expressed, in her own words, that she felt safe and happy living with me. She loved her mom, but she didn't want to be torn away from her friends, her school, and everything she knew. She was firm in her desire to stay where she felt most comfortable, and it was heartbreaking to hear her talk about the tension between her parents. It was a wake-up call for both of us, I think. In the end, the judge ruled in my favor, granting me primary custody with structured visitation rights for Kathy. The ruling was fair, allowing our daughter to maintain a relationship with both of us, but it came with a clear message: we had to stop dragging her through our mess. Kathy didn't take the decision well. I could see the anger simmering beneath the surface as the judge gave his ruling. But this time she didn't lash out. She didn't fight back. I think deep down she realized that this wasn't about winning anymore. It was about letting go for the sake of our daughter. Since then things have been quieter. Kathy moved to Boston, as she'd always planned, but she comes down for her visits on schedule. The interactions between us are still strained, but they're civil. We keep it strictly about our daughter now, no more emotional manipulation or accusations. It's not perfect, but it's better than it was. As for Leon, he's distanced himself from the situation. After everything that went down, I think he realized that being caught in the middle wasn't helping anyone. He's still in touch, but we've kept our boundaries clearer now. He checks in, but he's no longer involved in the day-to-day details of the situation. Looking back, I wish things had gone differently, but I've come to accept that sometimes life doesn't give you the easy path. I've learned a lot through this ordeal about myself, about Kathy, and most importantly, about the kind of parent I want to be. At the end of the day, I'm just grateful that our daughter didn't have to lose her sense of home in all of this. So this is where it ends, not with a dramatic victory or defeat, but with a sense of closure. The battle is over, and while the scars will take time to heal, we are finally moving forward.